So I've had this Scat Pack exhaust sitting here in the garage for a while, and I want to take out the factory exhaust and put the Scat Pack exhaust in. So if you see on the 06 Chargers, they're very quiet because you got the big muffler, which is this muffler here, big muffler similar to the other muffler, which is the Scat Pack muffler, and you have this muffler here in the middle, which is very quiet as well. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to the Scat Pack, which has those little mufflers, and then it has the big mufflers on the bottom. So this way I can see if I get any more little throatier noise out of the car. But if I don't, then we're going to slice off these mufflers here, and we're going to go with a set of MagnaFlows that I have on the shelf up there. And I'll put a set of MagnaFlows in the back to give it a little bit of tone. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do for an exhaust tip. So what I did is I had a pair of Challenger exhaust tips. I cut off the squares, and these parts here is what I'm going to save out of it. So this will allow me to bolt this piece here like that, put the clamp on to hold it, right? So it'd be like that, clamped on, and then I'll be able to weld the tip on to the end like that. And then if I'm not perfect on my tip, I can at least adjust with this to get it to look good. So it would sit like that, something like that, just rough idea. Weld the tip from here out, and that would give me an you know, an idea. So most likely I'll keep these on because it's less work, and I don't really want the Charger to be too loud. But we're in the process of taking the exhaust out. So the right muffler, the middle muffler, and the middle section is all one piece, as you can see in that whole section there. All right, so once I get this out, I'll come back and I'll show you the difference in the two. Okay, we're back. So this is the stock RT exhaust out of an 06, and this is a Scat Pack exhaust. Might be out of a 10, I don't remember. And as you can see, sorry cameraman, the old exhaust is on the right, the newer style exhaust on the left. You can see that they went from a 2-inch pipe to a 2 1/4, and they went from being able to put different exhaust tips on and having a welded on tip. All right, so this exhaust you can see is 2 inches as well, with a big muffler for quietness, and this is 2 1/4 with a individual muffler, and it has an H pipe compared to having an X pipe. So this sounded good on startup, the factory exhaust, but I've been always curious to see how this exhausts. So the unfortunate part is that this pipe is a little longer than this pipe, so I'm a little short in the pipe division, sorry to say, but I do have some spare pipe, and I'm going to cut a couple of sections out, and Mr. Welder and I are going to weld them in. So I should be able to cut there and there, and there and there, and now it should give me the difference in the length. So let's get the Scat Pack one in, and I'll come back before we do anything else. All right, so subtle differences I noticed is that the studs in the back here, these are, if you look, they're riveted into this flange. So this came with the gasket, this came with this, but on this one here, and that Dodge's earlier version, these have nuts and bolts, so you can actually remove these. So if you didn't have them in your new thing, you can reuse these with the nuts and bolts that are right there. 13 millimeter in the back, and it comes off. And if you had to hold it with a, it looks like a E type of socket, but I don't need to do that. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your job. Starter plate. So I got to make my exhaust tips last, but this is the way the exhaust is going to hang in here. It all sits in the factory, and as you can see, here is the issue. Scat Pack Challenger, 5 inches shorter than a Charger. So in my exhaust pipe cutting experience. We got this guy and this guy here, and I marked my lines. Now I tried to cut it as close as I could. I'm going to put little tack welds on each side and butt weld it all together. First I'm going to grind the edges on this one so it gives me a little depth for the weld to adhere to, and that will give me, you know, a pretty good bead. So let's get this one burned in, and then we can work on the second one, and then we can start it up, and then once the car warms up a little bit, we'll change the oil and rotate the tires. So not too bad, getting there. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I made 2 tacks here, 1 tack here. Try to get it pretty lined up as much as I can. So let's burn it in. It's not going to be pretty, but we'll do it in different sections to keep the heat. Not that I'm worried about warping, but I'm worried about the pipe moving. So, and then I might have to put this one in and then take the whole thing down to get it all around, but I might not do that. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so this is 99% tacked in, welded in, burned in, whatever you want to say. Now this one here, you got the front. So these 2 lines, we're gonna go right there. And that line is gonna go right there. So it's gonna be like that. So it's butted up as best as I can get it. And I'm going to weld it around, snug it in, and I'm going to take the whole exhaust out. And then this way I can weld it all the way around on the ground. But that will be the 5-inch extension, and then I can clean up the other welds and make it a little neater. All right, one step closer. Okay, so I'm back. Very ugly welding, but I had to take the whole thing out, weld the top because I couldn't get a little section. And then I ground down my ugliness up there so it's nice and pretty. And down here is road bumps, like pimples. All right, so back section on the right is in. And all I have to do is put that back section on the left in, and it's done. And I'll have to do exhaust tips another day. So I'm sure my little friend's got some exhaust stuff in there. Oh yeah, this will be interesting when we start it. All right, so make sure you put your ground strap on your exhaust. Make sure you put your 3 on each side. 1, 2, 3, right there. So, and then also it helps to put a little, not that I'm sponsored, but a little blaster on the rubber, because it's always nice to have a well lubricated rubber when you're inserting something. We'll just leave it at that. All right, so let me get this last section in, bolt it together, and move the welder, and we'll drop it down. We'll do it for a start. All right, thanks. See what it sounds like. Hopefully I left the key in it, not my other pants. That's a little more deeper than the RT exhaust. Okay. I see you got some stuff in that right muffler. You got a little squeak because I haven't used it. Alright, the most annoying thing about these Dodges, if you let it sit for a while, you get the squeaky belt syndrome. So you see how quiet it is now? Have one of these handy. A little brush, let it run, put the teeth on the belt, and clean out the little teeth on the inside of the belt, and then your belt goes quiet instead of having to put a new belt on another time. Because the car sat for a week or 2 and now squeaks like a bunch, but you clean it out and it won't do it again. All right, let me raise this thing up and we'll come back.